Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas. Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejados.
Because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
Hello, everyone. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Nathan.
And welcome to episode 66 of Adventures and Mousecapades.
This week, we're discussing the infamous Order 66 and why the clones so quickly turned on the Jedi.
Well, we actually could go on for a long time about that.
Absolutely.
Today, we're actually talking about the Disney Wish cruise ship, and we are on the Wish right now as we are recording this.
Indeed.
In our lovely stateroom, just chilling and talking to each other.
Yeah, we're in 12502, which is just off the Concierge lounge entrance on the 12th floor. Mm-hmm. And it's actually a kind of standard Disney room. It's not a one-bedroom suite or a royal suite or anything like that. It's a nice bed and a pull-out couch, and it has a pull down from the ceiling for kind of a bunk bed. So it's a very standard DCL room. It does have a bit of a bump out on the veranda, which is nice, but it's pretty standard.
Yeah,
so.
Well, this one can actually sleep 5.
Oh, that's right. It does have a Murphy bed over here.
Yeah, so I think this would be considered a deluxe family.
It would.
Ocean view concierge with veranda.
Right.
Every single name possible that there is.
They're just as bad at branding as Microsoft. Anyhow, so we wanted to really just spend some time, record a quick episode with you, and give our first impressions of the Wish. We've been on board for a little over 24 hours now. We have plans to do an episode all about the food, all about the different spaces on board and the activities and all sorts of stuff. So that's coming soon to a podcast near you. But today we just wanted to give our first impressions. We had some preconceived notions coming in. Mm-hmm. Have those been met? Have those been dispelled? Have those been exceeded? We'll talk a little bit through all those things. So let's just kind of start off overall with the ship's decor. The theming, the decorations, the rugs, and all the rest of that stuff. Mm-hmm. Alicia, what do you think about decor here on the Wish?
I think this is an absolutely gorgeous ship.
Yeah.
It is beautiful. It is not a nautical theme like the original 4 are. The Magic, the Wonder, the Dream, and the Fantasy all have a more nautical theme to the ships. This is more of a fairy tale castle type vibe, and I just love it. I think it is beautiful. I still like the classic feel of the other ships, but going into this knowing it would be a totally different style, I really love it. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's very much more akin to, I'd say, the Riviera Resort at Disney World, in that it's crisp and clean and contemporary. It has a lot of whimsical feel, and you have all sorts of LED lights and a whole little wishing star show that happens in the main atrium when you get on board, and it's nice. It is not nautical.
Nope.
But I think that they've done really well of having the theme go throughout the ship.
Yes.
There's no space that feels like it was just, and here's a restaurant and here's a lounge or whatever. Everything is really well themed and very integrated. They've thought of a lot of the little details when it comes to theming.
I know some people don't like the whole Disney using IP for decor. I think it's great. I love that they do this. Mm-hmm. The concierge staterooms have a Rapunzel, a tangled theme to them. So the floors in here are different shades of purple. There's vines going around the floor, and there's the starburst sunburst pattern in various places on the floor. We have a beautiful, cute little line drawing of Pascal on the wall. There's a picture above the couch of Rapunzel and Eugene, or what's his name? Flynn. I was thinking Finn. I was like, no, it's not Finn.
No, not Finn. Not
Flynn Rider.
2187.
It's Flynn Rider and Rapunzel sitting on a boat gazing up at the lanterns. And then we have a beautiful scene above the bed as well. And that's in the Concierge in the regular veranda family deluxe stateroom.
Mm-hmm.
I know some of the other Concierge rooms have the same theme, but the larger ones you go to have a different theme. There's like a briar rose in the one. No, that's not a one bedroom. It's like a suite something.
Okay.
I don't know. There's a couple other different themes, but on the main floors, on the main staterooms, each floor has a different theme.
Yes.
And I think there's 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, and then within each floor, if I remember correctly, like alternating rooms have different movies that they're themed to. So if you have connecting staterooms, I believe it is that you won't have the same theme in those 2 staterooms. They'll each be different themes.
I don't remember all of the themes. I know one of them is a Little Mermaid theme. One of them is a Sleeping Beauty theme. There's a Cinderella theme. There's I think Moana.
I think Moana too.
Yeah. And I just think it's very nicely done. We haven't seen the other ones in person, but we have seen some of them online on some videos.
Yep. What did you think of the opening kind of coming onto the ship and the little show that they did in the Wishing Star?
The atrium area or whatever it's called. I don't think it's called the atrium here.
Lobby,
yeah. It's interesting because I heard somebody else say they felt that it was smaller, but because it's a white color, a brighter color rather than the maple or
dark woods,
it feels more open to me. I enjoyed the stage show and I really liked having up at the very top there above the stage, Prince and Princess up there. So let's see, we had Cinderella and Prince Charming when we first came in, and a little bit later, Rapunzel and Flynn Rider were up there as well. So they rotated through the couples, and they had somebody down in the stage area doing a little welcoming ceremony for everybody.
Like every 10 or 15 minutes as people were coming on board.
I thought that was nice.
Yeah. I would say that it's definitely a little narrower, which is interesting because I feel like this ship is wider. But I think that opening it's deeper. Like it's longer along the length of the ship than it is on any of the other boats. Yeah. That lobby or atrium or whatever you want to call it. It may be a little narrower side to side, but lengthwise it's definitely longer.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
And we've seen a band up there on the stage in the evenings and things like that. Well, the evening that we were here. And I'm sure they do something like that kind of every night. Where on the other ships, they'll kind of squeeze, a couple musicians right on that little step up stage area as you're trying to also go into, Triton's or Lumiere's or whatever that restaurant is that's right there off the main lobby. But yeah, it's nice. I think overall, ship decor, they've done a really good job of all the theming and decorations. Let's talk about the ship layout and navigation and getting around.
It's not as bad as I thought it would be.
No, there's been a lot of horror stories.
Yeah.
And yes, if you're expecting to walk on and just because you know where everything is on other ships, you think that'll translate? No, it doesn't translate here. But I don't think it's impossible to get around. I don't necessarily find the missing set of stairs to be a problem either. Or like there's 3 stairways and 3 elevator banks on the other ships. And there's only 2 sets of that here. I think the elevator count, actually, there's more cars here, but they're only in 2 banks. Now,
and they're not managed well.
They're not managed. That horror story is true.
Yes.
The They're not even touch sensitive. Like all the buttons on the inside are proximity sensitive. We just got done doing some laundry, and on one of our trips down to do the dryer or whatever, Alicia accidentally triggered like 14 different floors.
I was trying to get out of the way of somebody.
Yeah.
And the only way for me to go was towards the buttons.
Yeah.
I just saw a whole bunch lit up. I'm like, oh, man.
Yeah. So it's, as is common on the other ships too, not all of the elevators go to the very top floors. So we're on 12, and half of the forward elevators stop at 11.
Yep.
And they need to do what many modern office buildings, what the Riviera has, is you have if you want to do a touchscreen or whatever in the elevator lobbies, you just select what floor you want to go to. It tells you which elevator to get in, and it goes to the right elevator. So if we want to go to 12, it's not going to tell us to go to an elevator that doesn't go all the way up there. I thought you said the Riviera had that.
No, I said Coronado.
Coronado. Yes.
Yeah.
My bad. Spain, France, whatever. It's all the same, right?
Mediterranean, sure.
Sure. Mm-hmm. I think it's a little interesting. There aren't the very straight shot hallways like you're used to, kind of from a flow perspective. Everything is broken off to the sides. So if you think about on the other ships, you have like a main concourse of shopping that flows into the main theaters and stuff like that. There's stuff in the middle here on the Wish. And so you have two hallways that separate, towards the port and starboard side, and they weave in and out. So you can't see.
Yeah.
There were several people last night who couldn't find the main theater. Like it wasn't super obvious.
And it was literally just around the corner from where they were.
They were so close.
Yeah. But you can't see because the corridors, it's not a straight shot. Mm-mm. It does kind of bend and twist a little bit, and it's to go with the decor, to go with the theme. It's kind of reminiscent of the District, or I forget what it's called on the other ship. Fantasy and Dream both have that weird wonky stuff going on around the adults area. Maybe.
And then on the Wonder, it's the Route
After
66.
Hours.
Isn't it? I don't know.
After Hours, yeah.
Feel free to look it up on the interwebs, y'all, because we can't remember right now. We're on vacation. Give us a break.
Oh my gosh, I got so confused when we were in Disney, in Magic Kingdom. I was like, I can't remember which one this is, if it's the Disneyland one or the Disney World one. It's over this way, I think.
Somewhere. Like, who knows? Yeah, it's funny. We don't go to Disneyland super often, but it's enough to get us completely confused.
And turned around.
In the two parks. Basically, at this point, we don't know where anything is. I think the other thing that I'd say about navigation and the layout is I really like the top deck in that, like, the main pool area is very much broken up. You have a lot of smaller pools. I want to say that there's likely, or at least it feels like there's more pool surface area, but they're smaller pools. And so you have a chance for more people to get in. If you have a, I don't know, we'll call it, if you have a 2319, they don't have to drain
get rid of all of them. Yeah.
I think it works really well. The getting to the adult section that's in the aft of the ship is a little odd.
Yeah, it's a little more difficult.
There's no real straight way to get there. I don't think there's any way to get to the adult section without walking outside. And so if it's bad weather and you wanted to go back to that bar, I don't see a way to get there. Which, I mean, you're in the Caribbean, it's never bad weather, right? But it's just, it feels a little disjointed and separate from the rest of the ship.
I will agree with the layout of the decks where the pools are. I don't know what that's called, the top decks. I think it looks beautiful. Yeah. It's nicely laid out. It's very nice to have all those pools there. I'm looking through where the adult areas are on the ship, and are they forward or aft?
Yes, they're everywhere. The outside, like where the Cove Bar is and all the rest of those things, that's in aft.
Ah, yes.
But that's the other thing, is there's no after hours district. There's no Route 66. There's the bars are largely smaller and spread all over. So there's not kind of one main area for nightclub kind of feel. I think the other weird thing is the Luna Lounge, which is the Wish's version of the D Lounge, and the open walkway up on the second floor of that. Basically, adult entertainment is open to anybody who's passing through that hall because there's no wall. So if you have kids that are walking by during Match Your Mate, they may hear some interesting things.
Yeah, we walked by last night while Match Your Mate was going on the second level of Luna.
Yeah.
That's one that has, open. It's like totally open.
Yeah.
And there's a little sign outside the door. The door is closed. It says 18 plus, but you can hear everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And there was a kid just kind of hanging around out there too. So.
Yeah, it's a little weird. Hopefully they'll adjust that on the Treasure and the to be determined.
Yeah.
Insert new ship name here that comes out in a couple years. I think the other thing I'll just drop in here is we were exceptionally disappointed in the gallery space.
Yeah.
Art
gallery.
The art gallery. Yeah. All of the other ships have a decent length of hallway that has a bunch of canvases and other artwork up. Mm-hmm. Here, there is about, 10, maybe 11 linear feet of wall. They have 7, I think, canvases up, and that's it. And then there's a kiosk or two where you can, touch screen and browse through all the other stuff, but that's just not the same. No. That was disappointing.
Which I couldn't even get it to work. I tried to, and it wasn't even working.
And so as people who are frequent customers of the gallery on board the ships, that feels like a big miss to me. Yeah.
I'm guessing they just don't have enough people purchasing art.
I'm sure a lot of these things are being driven by the numbers, but on the other hand, they have hundreds of square feet in these super luxury high-end shops that are completely unused.
Yeah.
That are, there's a table, display case for some nice jewelry, and then, you have 20 square feet next to it that has just a nice plush chair for somebody to lounge in while they're shop. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. There's some very interesting choices made on delineation of space.
I like how they have every once in a while here and there, we'll turn a corner and be like, oh, here's a random bar.
Yeah.
A coffee bar or something like that. I think there was 3 that I came upon. I was like, oh,
yeah,
nice.
It's pretty cool. There's pluses and minuses.
Yeah.
I don't think navigating around the ship is really horrible. I think the elevators are a big problem, but they've heard that.
Yeah.
They've heard that loud and clear. Let's move on to our stateroom. The first thing that comes to mind, I'll jump in front. This couch that we're sitting on,
it is not comfortable
at all.
No.
To sit on. It feels like a piece of plywood with maybe, a 1/4 inch of felt stretched across it.
It is not comfy at all.
Oh, it's bad. It's bad. It's bad.
Is this wider than? I can't tell. I mean, I don't even know.
Based on how tight the squeeze is between the foot of the bed and the wall, I don't know that this is wider.
Point of order.
This is a king bed in this concierge room versus what's normally a queen.
Yes.
But it's the same depth. Like a queen and a king, like the difference is width. I don't think it's length. And they have the TV at the foot of the bed.
Yeah. Not on a swivel arm, not on a pivot arm.
Yeah, so you couldn't sit on the couch and watch TV. Now, that may be a good thing because this couch is flipping horrible. But I'm not sure I really enjoy that. I don't know how this would work on the Wish in this room if we had 4 people for a 4-night cruise. And looking for shelf and drawer space, ideally drawer space, to put shorts and underwear and socks and all the rest of that stuff. There's not a lot of shelf space in here.
4. They can fit 5 in here. Can you imagine?
No.
Fitting 5? There are no drawers. I take that back. There's 1 drawer, 2 drawers, one kind of long one above the refrigerator, one very narrow one next to that, and that's it.
Well, no, there's a drawer here under the sitting kind of table. So you have a desk pull-out drawer. I guess you could shove some socks in there.
That second one that I said, that narrow one, is full of like there's a hairdryer or something.
Okay.
There's, something other in there. You can't put anything in that. The long one that's under the vanity area has other stuff in it as well.
There's
really,
a bunch of shelf space, but I don't think people usually want to have your underwear hanging out.
Yeah.
I just, kind of a miss.
Yes.
Kind of a big miss.
The closet has 3 parts to it. There's a good amount of hanging space.
Yeah, we have 2 full height hanging basically thirds of the closet, and then the middle has some shelves. That's where the safe is as well. And also, of course, above all of that is where the life jackets are stored as well.
Yeah, there's just not a lot of room for clothing storage.
No, there's not. Unless it's hanging. So you could bring one of those hanging shelf things that you could put on a bar, and that may work well for you. That's probably what we'd have to do for sure. But again, now you're going to limit your hanging space. So some trade-offs. The bathroom's nice. Your side, Alicia has the shower tub and sink side.
Yep.
That's a little bigger.
The shower's bigger than what we're used to on the ships.
Right. And they took a little room out of the commode room to make that work. But the commode room's not horrible. I feel like I'm getting a little bit shivved by the counter in the ribs, but I have more room when I'm sitting down on the throne for my knees than I have on any of the other ships.
Yeah.
Anything else about the room you want to kind of point out?
The bed is wicked comfortable.
The bed's amazing.
Yeah.
Power. They've got a lot of US plugs. They've got a lot of USB. There's even a USB-C next to Alicia's side of the bed. My side of the bed, which is the bed that's closest to the bathrooms, only has a European outlet. And unlike over here next to the desk, the European outlet is just the European outlet and doesn't have any USBs. So I guess whoever designed the space assumes that only one adult who's going to sleep there has a phone that they need to charge at night. Like, it's just odd.
Or that you're going to charge it next to your head.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just, come on, just throw the USBs over there. It would be ideal to have US and European on that side. Now, we have European to US adapters, so it's not a big deal, but I would have loved to have a USB plug over there to plug in. So that was a little inconvenient. In general, I think it's a good room. The chairs out on the deck seem a little smaller than we're used to, but it's not horrible. I think the sliding door to the deck is a lot more easy to use and operate than we've seen on the other ships, at least for me. At least so far in its service history.
Yeah.
You know, this is a ship that is not quite even a year old at this point. So time will tell on how all this stuff holds up, but it seems to be doing pretty good so far.
Something we should note is the commode room has a night light integrated in, which is very nice. And it's not very bright.
No, and
it's an orangey hue to it, and you can just keep that on.
Yep.
And it doesn't bother the rest of the room.
Yep, and it's down at the floor level. It's kind of where the baseboard would be, or the kick plate underneath the cabinets there. So it works really well.
The TV is a smart TV, and it takes about a minute and a half for it to warm up and go through the motions to get to the main screen or whatever you call that. So it takes quite a while. First, it has to load the smart TV. Then it has to find the Disney content, whatever it is they're pulling from.
Right.
And then it chugs through that, and then it'll turn on.
So if you hear the tones going off and want to hear the announcements, you best go open your door so you can hear it from the hallway, because there's no chance you're going to catch it from the TV. I think that's a good overview of the room. Let's talk about a perk that we get to enjoy here on board the Wish this time, because we're sailing in Concierge.
Yes.
And this Concierge lounge is amazing.
It blows all the others out of the water.
I love the concierge lounges on the other ships, but this one is just hands down incredible. There's so much seating. Now, there's like 70 or 75 concierge rooms, so they had to figure something out.
Yeah.
But there's a ton of seating. It doesn't feel cramped in there, even with all the seating. It's very comfortable. There's 5 concierge hosts here on the Wish.
There's a kitchen.
There's a full kitchen, the full galley, so they have hot meal options in the mornings and throughout the day. They actually have a full bar set up that they open at 5 p.m. It's open 5 to 10. That isn't just this kind of walk-up thing where people kind of congregate. No, it's actually a full bar. There's 7 or 8 stools, I think, up there, and lots of space for you to order a drink. They have a wine cart that they open and hold on the opposite side of the room to help spread things out for flow. Pro tip, make sure you grab a glass of wine or 2 and take that with you to dinner, and then you don't have to buy the wine package. But yeah, it's fantastic. There is a big, huge veranda with lots of very relaxed and comfortable seating right outside of the main level of the concierge lounge here on deck 12. And you are literally standing out and looking at the front of the ship. You're right above the bridge. It is a fantastic view. We stood there last night for sail away as we left Port Canaveral, and it was fantastic. And then there are stairs up to deck 13, and there's a whole sun deck up there for concierge that has a very nice shade structure, has 2 hot tubs, if I remember correctly. There's another outside bar up there, lots of different seating options and sun lounger options.
And they can do smoothies and stuff at the bar up there. They have smoothie machines and things like that. They can do the frozen drinks. There's also, it's not a hot tub. It's like, I don't know, it's like a wet chair. I don't know what you call those. It's a seating area, but it has like a little waterfall going down the back of it.
Okay.
So.
Sure, a wet chair.
A wet chair. I don't know what else to call it.
I don't either. So the wet chair it is.
And just a little pool for your feet.
Yeah. They have one of those in the adult section in back by the cove.
Yes.
As well. So this concierge section and lounge is top notch in the fleet. It's really, really fantastic. It's unfortunate to see that there are so many rooms and that impacts the ability for people to get things like cabanas and stuff like that on Castaway. We were talking with a crew member earlier today, and the rumor is that potentially in a couple years they're going to switch the Wish over to Lighthouse Point instead of Castaway because as they continue to develop and expand Lighthouse Point, again, it opens next summer, but it looks like from what Disney has published online, that's just phase 1, and there are going to be a lot more cabanas and things like that. Like I think twice or more the number of cabanas eventually at Lighthouse Point, though that's not what looks to be opening next year. There's actually like half as many cabanas are going to be there initially, which we'll see how that goes. I think a lot of people are going to be a little ticked off at that. But I would be surprised if they didn't expand the offerings on Castaway
once Lighthouse
is done, because then they can shift things over to Lighthouse for a season or 2 while they rework or expand Castaway.
Refurb Castaway.
Yep. So
it's time for a refurb over there, definitely.
It's been a hot minute.
Yeah, it still looks fine.
It does.
We'll see it tomorrow.
Yep. We're going to be in Serenity Bay for the very first time tomorrow. So we're really looking forward to that. I think we'll see if we can do a quick little thoughts on Serenity Bay, and you'll probably hear that here in a minute or 2. But I think that's about it. Those are kind of our initial impressions. It's not as bad as I thought it would be. Again, we're going to have a food episode. I've been pleasantly surprised with the food.
Yeah.
Much better than what we had on the Fantasy last August.
Yeah.
So far. Now, I don't think that's Wish versus Fantasy. I think that is staffing turnover, staffing expansion, and things starting to solidify post-pandemic, and we're raising that bar of quality of the product, and everything that's being put out is getting back up to what we've been used to and are kind of expecting from Disney Cruise Line for the premium price that we pay.
Yeah, and we'll be on the Fantasy again in December.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to weigh the 2 other cruises that we've had before that on it. So this cruise now, and then the prior time we were on the Fantasy. Be interesting to see if this coming December is any different.
Yeah.
I hope it is.
I do too.
Yeah.
All right. Those are our thoughts and initial impressions. Stay tuned. You'll hear some sort of fun sound effect. And in the next 10 seconds, we'll be joining you from beautiful Serenity Bay on Castaway Cay.
24 hours later.
And through the magic of technology, here we are, a day later, fresh back on the boat, freshly showered after a wonderful day at Serenity Bay on Castaway Cay.
Yes.
That was fun.
It was. This was our first time over at Serenity Bay. We usually have been at the family beach and over playing on Pelican Point and taking part in the Cookies Barbecue or Cookies too. And this time we finally got to go over to Serenity Bay, and we're lucky enough to snag one of the cabanas over there as well.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. We were in Cabana 22, which is the first cabana that you can get past the massage cabanas.
Yes.
And it was really nice. It was
really
so
nice.
peaceful over there. The one difference in terms of cabanas, I thought they were smaller. It didn't really feel smaller.
It didn't feel smaller.
I think it had a couple fewer chairs,
Yeah.
perhaps. I think it's like meant for a maximum capacity of like 6 versus 10.
I think it's
with
4.
a normal capacity of 4 versus 6. But it didn't really feel all that much smaller.
No, granted, the last cabana we were in was the Grand Cabana.
True.
Which was the stinking huge one.
Yes.
We have been in a regular family cabana as well, or a regular cabana, but that was probably like 8 or 9 years ago.
Yeah, it was a little bit.
So I don't really remember how big it was. I was surprised. This was larger than I thought it would be.
Agreed.
Very comfy. It had a couch in there. It had 2 chairs.
2 single chairs.
2 single chairs inside.
2 loungers outside with
And
a
then
third kind of like chaise
thing. Yeah. There's a freshwater shower outside to rinse off your feet and just to shower off after being in the ocean. And there's a hammock out there as well. And the nice thing about the cabanas is it has a little sunshade over the outside part, which is nice.
That was a big deal.
Yeah.
We did have a little bit of rain roll through right after we had lunch. So right around 12:15, 12:30. I think it rained for all of 15, maybe 20 minutes.
It was quite the deluge, though.
It was, but it was nice. It really kind of took the heat energy out of the day. And having a cabana was very nice as an escape route from getting super wet. So I think the cabana was great. I had seen some folks previously online comment how the Serenity Bay beaches were a lot more rocky than the family beaches. And I don't know, maybe there's a little bit more coarse sand. There's definitely some rocks out in the water here and there, but it didn't really feel all that necessarily different from the beach or the rocks or whatever you have out in the family side, other than it's not protected. And so you do have a little bit more of a swell. But personally, having grown up swimming in the ocean, I enjoyed that. It was fantastic. The water was just a touch cool as you got in, but instantly kind of got over that. And we really enjoyed floating around a little bit after our rum tasting.
Yeah.
That was pretty fantastic. We went over to the What's Up bar.
The Heads Up
bar, excuse me, which is over next to Pelican Point, effectively, or I guess on Pelican Point.
Pelican Plunge
Point, whatever, the Pelican area.
Yes.
and which is over kind of between the two halves of the family beach. And we had a rum tasting, and the bartender, Kim, from Jamaica, was absolutely fantastic. And we had 4 or 5 different drinks, and they were all phenomenal.
Yes. So she gave us something called the Jamaican Delight or something like that.
Yeah.
Just to sip throughout, she said, which was pineapple juice, banana liqueur, and a light rum. I don't remember what it was, but it was really good.
We wrote all this stuff down. We'll cover all this in detail when we go through kind of our foods episode here in a couple weeks. But yeah, it was. We had a really, really great time, and I really enjoyed having that home base of a cabana where we could sit and read or listen to some podcasts. We got a couple videos that we were able to post onto our Instagram account, and yeah, it was just a really great day. I really noted the difference between the family side of Castaway and the Serenity side of Castaway. Again, this is the first time we've been over to Serenity, and just the lack of kids yelling and screaming and cavorting and having fun was noticeable over in Serenity Bay.
It was much quieter.
Yeah.
Much more relaxing. Though there wasn't any music playing in the cabana at all. No music on the beach that I could hear, which I understand. They're trying to make that a more relaxed area.
Yeah.
But I would have enjoyed a little bit. Yeah, that we could turn up or down if we needed to.
I did kind of miss having the few, I think they have like 3 different music channels available in the family cabanas over on the other side of the island. And I did kind of miss that, just having a little bit of a background going on. But I mean, really, that's the only nitpick I have about the cabana. And it's not a deal breaker by any means.
No, and we were actually close enough to the food/shopping/bar area of Serenity Bay that we could hear a little bit of the strains of the music going on. So.
And I thought the food, that area, and again, we'll dive into this more, but the lunch over at Serenity was not nearly as much of a, I don't know, fiasco is coming to mind, but it's not the right term. It wasn't as hectic. It wasn't as crowded. When we got there right at 11:30, when they had just opened, there was a little bit of a line. But after about 11:45, it was really kind of a walk up and serve yourself and you're good to go. And they had plenty of seating available. I'm used to over at Cookies and Cookies Too, having a longer wait in the line, having to fight for a seat at a picnic table. That was noticeably different over at Castaway.
Yep. Yeah, it was very quick going through. Not a lot of people there at all.
No. And good food.
Food was good. I think the one thing that's different about Serenity Bay versus Cookies or Cookies Too is the pork ribs. But I didn't have any. Did you?
I didn't. We had some breakfast a little late. The other big change that we did from our previous experiences on Castaway is, the Wish was ready to disembark right around 8:30, and we didn't even try to get off the boat until 9:30. And I think that helped tremendously. I didn't notice any massive lines or anything going on for the trams. It was a direct write-off when we got off the ship from security at the gangway. There really was no waiting. So if you don't have a 5K to get to or something like that, I would seriously consider delaying your exit from the ship at Castaway by a good at least half hour, if not 45 minutes. Again, we were an hour later, and there was really no waits for anything as we were getting off the ship.
Yeah, and there's enough chairs out on the beaches to accommodate everybody and then some. You may not get the prime spot, but you'll still get a spot and be able to enjoy the beach. Especially
over at Serenity Bay.
That
seemed like folks were rolling in over there much later than even 9:30.
It was really empty over there. I don't know if that's normal or not.
Again, we're on the Wish. There's just a hair over 4,000 folks on board this cruise. I think it's either 4,048 or 4,084. I can't remember off the top of my head. And we've heard that 2,000 of those folks are kids. So this is a 50-50 cruise between kids and adults. And I have a funny feeling, especially based on what we heard from our Palo server in terms of the limited demand really for the Palo Steakhouse itself, that I think perhaps this was a little bit abnormal in terms of a lower demand on Serenity Bay. But your mileage may vary.
Yep.
We had a great time over at Serenity Bay.
We did.
And if we are traveling sans under 18-year-old in the future, I will 100% go over to Serenity Bay. It is worth the extra tram ride over there.
Yep, I agree.
All right. Those are our initial thoughts on Serenity Bay. We really thank you guys for listening. And now I'm going to cut back to past selves who pre-recorded the ending of this podcast, because we love just playing with the time machine that is technology.
Flashback.
We are not affiliated with Disney, and we are not travel agents. While we can offer our opinions and suggestions, we recommend working with a travel agent to plan your perfect vacation.
If you have any questions or suggestions, or would like to be interviewed on our show to share your Disney experience, or just want to get in touch to sponsor us for, I don't know, a Galaxy's Edge and Galactic Star Cruiser experience that we'd like to do. Like, if you want to hear us make that kind of content, let's talk sponsorship. But anyhow, if you want to do that or just be interviewed, reach out to us, send us an email. We're at podcast@ourmousecapades.com.
You can follow us on socials at Our Mousecapades. Please take a moment and rate and review in your podcast app. That really helps people find us.
Thanks for listening. We'll be in your ears next week.
Thank you for flying Star Tours. Bye-bye.
Even though you're going to patch something in?
Yeah, and then I'll put yes.
Okay. Excuse you.
Honk.